What's going on, YouTube? It's been quite a while, but welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a ban list prediction, and should be pretty close to a ban list. We're in the middle of August right now. This video is either going to post the 16th or Monday the 19th. So we should be getting a list pretty soon. So here's my predictions. If you don't care, like, subscribe, make sure you're hitting that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. I know it's been a little bit of time. However, with school starting back and the end of summer, I've been relatively busy, so we should be able to post here, more coming soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the love and support you guys give me. And as you see, I've been looking at the ban list, and we're going to see what kind of changes I think need to be made. I think this format is absolutely awful, and I think that there's going to be a lot of changes that will absolutely change up the meta. Right now, we're in a pretty solid Tier 0 format. When I say solid, I mean there's really no chance of having anything other than a Tier 0 format. We have Fiendsmith and we have Snake Eyes everywhere. I don't know what Konami was thinking by having both at the same time without touching Snake Eye. I think it was a complete mistake, and you can watch some of my videos on that. But here we are. So, like always, I want to start with the ban cards, and I'm going to start with the ones that I really do think need hit. I still, even though this deck hasn't done anything in a while, I still think Featherstorm is the first card that needs to be really considered to be hit. Featherstorm is an absolute turn skip, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Just really doesn't like turn skips, players or Konami. So it makes me really surprised this card stuck around so long, excuse me. But not really when the format is so fast. So the slower the format gets, the more impactful this card is, and I think some of the changes that I'm going to make is going to make this format much slower. The coming format, at least the September through January format, I think it makes this format much slower, and therefore we really need to think about some of the cards that play well when they're slow. The next one that I want to talk about is technically a Fiendsmith and a Yubel hit, and I think Samsara Lotus really needs to be considered for a hit here. If you don't know what it does, I'm going to pull it up here. During your end phase, if you control no spell or traps, you can special summon this card from your graveyard face up. This color takes 1,000 damage during each of their standby phases. It's really just a free body, but I'm not sure. Give me a second here. Did I pick the right Lotus card? I'm pretty sure I did. Samsara D Lotus. I'm sorry. Tribute this card. Let me fix that. It says, tribute this card, special summon one Yubel monster from your deck during your opponent's turn. When a monster effect is activated while you control a Yubel monster, you tribute this card. The activated effect becomes destroy one Yubel monster on the field. During your end phase, if you control Yubel and this card in your graveyard, add this card to your hand or special summon it. You can only use each once per turn. How long has this been around? This has only been around since Phantom Nightmare. It's very unlikely, honestly. But I don't really know what else we can hit with Yubel right now. I think Yubel definitely needs hit. I think Nightmare Pain is really the way to go. The OG Yubel monster. I just don't see that happening. I think Samsara would be one of the bigger impacts. But honestly, if you wanted to put just Yubel here, you could. Just to be honest, it's only going to be one of these guys, but it's going to be one of them. If not, Yubel's best tech. Next, I've got some absolute hate towards Snake Eye. Like always, I'm sorry. This is the boring part of the video. Flamberge, just ban it. I think one is okay still. They could play around it. That's okay. It makes the deck playable. Even 0 makes the deck playable is my point. I think Snake Eye's been around for quite a while and too long, honestly, for our liking here in the U.S. Europe, I get it. It's more diverse over there. And Japan, it's definitely more diverse. But here in the U.S., it's just it's too stale. We need some Snake Eye movement. That would also include original. So original Sinful Spoils needs to go. It's essentially a draw 2 if you're playing the deck. Another card that I think is probably going to get hit is Lurie. If you don't know what Lurie does, we're going to talk about it for just a second. If this card is discarded to the graveyard, special summon it. It's a free body that almost every, I think it's like 67% of Fiendsmith decks are playing this card. It's just stupid, honestly. It's a free body, and it's not a once per turn. It's what Malicious did for Heroes whenever Malicious was here, and Heroes were good, which might be again. We're going to talk about that here pretty soon. I do have some other hits to Yubel later on, but it's a sort of wishy-washy or this or that kind of thing. Like they're only going to hit this or that. They're definitely not going to do both. I'm going to die on this hill where World Sea Lannis needs to be banned. I think that the card is just insane. I think it's just too good. It's an instant OTK, and decks can still play it even without Flamberge. I've got two more in the ban section. We do not have to worry about banning Gimmet Puckpit if we just ban Albion. And I've said this for at least the last ban list or two. I think Gimmick Puckpit Lock is insane. I think if those top two decks with Fiendsmith and Snake Eye take a step back, that Brandon is the best deck. Unless we hit Albion, everybody's going to get turn skipped. So, I think Albion's a good hit. And the last one is actually my shock pick. I think IP is going to get banned because of everything that we can do with it. IP's been around for a long, long time. IP is one of the most just famous monsters at this point. It's an interruption on your opponent's turn. It's generic. It takes two non-link monsters, and the card's just good. Being an interruption, being able to summon it back with Flamberge, and then still have an interruption there is big. I think this is sort of one or the other here, but I can definitely see Flamberge limited and IP banned, but I'm going to leave them both there in the ban for right now. Just a heads up, this is probably going to be a little bit of a longer video. I appreciate if you all would watch it all the way through like always, but I get it. So again, back with some more... Back with some more Snake Eyes hate. I think Ash goes to 1. I think the card is very good. I think the deck needs to cut away some of the starters. I think it has 12 starters. And honestly, it's not really needed. Like, every other deck is only going to play 9. So if you can cut 2 away here and you can cut 1 or 2 away here, like, it starts adding up pretty quickly and the deck becomes more playable to be played against. Pretty much everything else that I have in the limited is coming off from the ban. So I think Elf, Sprite Elf specifically, is a card that we could consider coming off. I know it helps tier, but honestly it helps Sprite. And with some of the other Ice Barrier cards they have, Sprite's still okay, but without Elf, Sprite's just not that deck anymore. The minute Tier played Elf and honestly got it banned, Sprite died. And it's been really hard to play Tier 1 Sprite if it's not Tier 1, because it's not, and it never will be again without Elf. And that's coming from a Sprite player. Next, I have another oldie but hated card. Arise Heart is probably going to come back. If you paid attention, not to my stuff, but if you've paid attention, you know that Arise Heart is getting a reprint in the 10s as a prismatic, and probably as a QCR. I think all the side cards get a QCR. So I think the card's very good. I don't think the card is as busted as what people say it is. I played the deck. I liked playing Kashtira. But I don't see the card being banned much longer, honestly. Next, I have some, like, weird calls. This is the only one that I think is one or the other. I'm going to put both here. I think either Polymerization or Super Poly goes to 1. Yubel is a big reason. With Heroes coming back, that's a huge reason. Branded is a huge reason. And honestly, if you've got the space in the extra deck, you can just side it. So, Super Poly being that board breaker card is still viable. And I think it's too available, again, for Polymerization decks for it to be played. So, I do see it falling off. Next thing I've got here on my list is another card coming off. I have Masterpiece. This is sort of a dream kind of situation. I do think, two words, Masterpiece. I do think this format is way too fast for Draco anyway. I think even at 1, this card is just not great for the format. It's a great card individually and one of the best boss monsters of all time, but for the format, it's just not great. You've got to commit so much to it for it to be able to be truly successful. Sorry, adjust my camera a little bit there. For it to be truly successful as a deck, and I don't see it succeeding really at all, even with banning and blah blah blah. I think Draco is still a very rogue deck. I've got 2 or 3 more here, and the last one's always going to be like the shocker pick to me, and this is not the last, but I think Meow can come back to 1. I think Pregnant Kids is pretty unplayable without Meow. That's just plain and simple. Why not bring something fun back to the format? This is another one or the other. I think they either bring back Trident or Barrage. I don't think they bring back both, and I'm not saying that by putting both of these here. I think the more likely target to bring back is Barrage. But if they bring them both back to 1, I think that's okay too. I just don't see it happening. They hate Zodiac. But Barrage is pretty good. It's a special summon, but it's ashable. So I think Barrage is the one they would bring back if they bring back either. And then you've got Zodiac, Trident here. Trident's really good. Just for reference, I have bought several of these. Sort of stonks, right? And then the last thing I have here, it's sort of my like sleeper, is Grass. That Grass looks greener. We have some 60 card piles that could play it. If you have more cards in your deck than your opponent, send cards equal. Bring that back for Tier. People are playing 60 card Tier again. Bring it back for Trap, Paleo. People are playing that again. I just think the card's really good, but I think it's worth a shot at 1, just to be honest. Now on to the semis, and I only have 3 here. I'm going to die on the hill of Called By should be at least at 2, especially right now during a graveyard format like Snake Eye and Yubel and cards like that. Why not give us Called By at 2? Crossout's good, but only against hand traps or if you're playing a mirror match. So most people are only playing Crossout if they can fit it in, and I would try to fit it in every meta deck, just to be honest with you. But I think Called By needs to at least be at 2. The next card here, I have Miscellaneousaurus coming back to at least 2. I think the card would be really good. I think it would give a little bit of boost to dinosaurs. Dinosaurs suck, and it sucks because I like Dino, but dinos suck. Just give them Misc. You know what I mean? And the last one here in the 2s, I think Gamma can come back to 2. We've done what Konami wanted. We've had Gamma at 1 for a little while, but Gamma at 2 at least balances the format with a negate and destroy hand trap, and not just negate. So it's beneficial there. And then I have 4 cards coming off, and obviously these are always wish list cards. I think Card of Demise at 1 is just ridiculous. It has 2 restrictions on it. I get to draw essentially 3 cards, but I have to get rid of them at the end phase if I can't use them. I can't special summon. I have to get rid of them, and I can only use 1 per turn. Like, it's got 3 restrictions on it. I think the card is fair. I do believe it can come back. Plus, I mean, if you don't bait out that Ash and they Ash it, or if that's your only play and they Ash it, you're like, ouch, your turn. So I think the card to 3 is okay. Next, I have Lightning Storm. I don't think the card is good at 3 anyway, because I would only ever play 2 copies of this. but I know a lot of people thinks the card's busted. It has a double restrictions. You can't control face-up cards, plus it has to be, you can only activate once per turn. So it's got a double restriction. I don't like cards with double and triple restrictions, so I could definitely see that moving up to a 3. This is going to be the unpopular opinion. I think Fountain can come to 3 and not change anything. The format slowing down may say no to this and leave it where it's at. But I definitely think Fountain can come to 3, not make a huge splash into the meta. But that could just be wishful thinking. And then the last thing I think can come to 3 would definitely be my my sleeper. I think Pankratops at 3 is insane. I think if Kashtira gets both a Rise Heart at 1 and Pankratops at 3, I would be playing going second Cash, especially with a couple called by and losing some of these cards up here at the top. I think Kashtira would be a really good play next format if that ends up being a possibility that Konami would think about or do. Well, I really appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing like you always do. If you have any questions or you think I missed something, again, I'm a little out of tune with the meta where I haven't been playing, but let me know down below. I love comments. I love seeing you all interact, and I'm always going to be receptive for that stuff. As always, keep pushing, keep grinding. Just do your best every day. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.